And we got about halfway through that movie and we're like, you know what? We're going to shut this down. And meanwhile, the monster, played by Howie Mandel, puts his head right next to her pillow while she's sleeping and tongue flicks at her. I'm wondering what writer or what director was like, you know what we need to do in this scene? We need to have those little kids kiss again. And I'm like, oh, well, what charges did he face? Dan Schneider has never faced any criminal charges. There are big plans if we end up monetizing well with this to support the end of trafficking and to support those who have been trafficked. And we already have like charities picked out and organizations and such. And we were talking about possibly formulating our own 501c3 that would help combat those issues. And, you know, we I think we got our last community strike on TikTok before they took us down because we were talking about basically show the damn files, you know? And I don't know. For all I know, that could be what that last strike was for me, was like hopping on some big platform and being like, all, what do they call them so that they don't get in trouble? P3DOs or whatever. Hang them all. Hang them all. I got it.
Was it Ohio just passed?
Yeah.
One of my new favorite law.
Yeah.
They have brought back capital punishment specifically for people who are guilty of that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
That is
by the firing line.
That is a huge win.
Yeah. 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 No, huge fan of that. I personally think it's a bit too quick. Not the implementation of the law. I mean,
no, that actually too late.
Yeah.
That should have.
I'm saying we'll say the execution of said new law. I think it's too fast.
Nice.
Thank you. I think it's a bit too fast. I think it should be a little bit slower of a process, but then that's where you get into, you know, cruel and unusual, which I get. However, if I were
behavior
hired,
that got them there is cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
So at the same time, let's take the win. At least those people in Ohio are being removed from the equation.
49 more. 49 more states follow suit, please.
I think the comments like that in the comment section, what you're talking about, I think I have a hard time believing that somebody actually really thinks that. I think that's just more of I'm just going to poke the bear and say crappy things in a comment.
Right.
Now, of course I could be wrong. There's no way for me to know or validate that. It's so upside down that it feels like something that is so, it's the kind of intentionally immature thing that I would do to just poke at somebody and be ridiculous.
On the internet.
I mean, I don't do these things on the internet, but yes.
Right.
You know, the same way I know if I can say something that's going to bother you, I'm going to do it. And especially if it's super childish, I'm really going to do it, right? Because I know it's going to be funny. So I see those comments and think that's probably what that is. That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And what makes sense to me doesn't necessarily make sense to somebody else. I'm creating a context. I'm thinking like, all right, that person just poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm taking it very much the same way, where it's just like, okay, dude, you're on the internet, like, being a tough guy, or, you know, not even being a tough guy, just being a troll. Online, again, grain of salt. This is just some person who, you know, either wants to get a rise or somebody who just has a really ugly life.
Yeah, I think this person is looking to get a rise. That seems to track the most. I'm also taking a perspective of best case scenario as opposed to darkest scenario. All right. Anyways, that's enough about that guy. That guy's gotten too much attention already.
It's been a wild ride reading these, and most of them make me giggle. We are going through, and if you received an invite, then that was done by my hands or my girlfriend's hands, personally.
Manual individual invite per person. So if you get an invite from Lunatics and Legends Facebook page, that's because you or your girlfriend physically clicked a button for that person.
Yep. And we have also read some hilarious names. I did not list them. However, there are some
real
absolutely hilarious names, and I love that. That it helps the time pass for sure. But yeah, we just scroll through and we'll giggle about names as we're going through there. So, according to a lot of what we're seeing in the analytics, people are absolutely loving the discussion of, 80s, 90s shows, right? And I already kind of thought about like, hey, we should follow up on that and do some more stuff. And I didn't have anything prepared. However, read a ton of the comment section and, the suggestions of different shows that were essentially saying the same thing. And completely separate of that, we decided on Father's Day that we were going to have family movie night. And I was like, well, I'm going to pick a movie, one of my childhood favorites, Little Monsters. And we got about halfway through that movie and we're like, you know what? We're going to shut this down because a young girl does not need to be exposed to the things that movie was throwing out there. There was a scene where Fred Savage gets depantsed and there's like a creepy little troll sitting behind him and it goes, nice ass. And again, this is a kid's movie, right? Shortly thereafter, they end up going to Fred Savage's little crush.
How old is Fred Savage in this show?
Maybe 12, maybe?
Okay.
And his crush, I would assume, is probably about the same age. And she's laying in her bed, and Fred Savage is kind of looking around the room and finds a picture of him, and he's, oh, she likes me. And meanwhile, the monster, played by Howie Mandel, puts his head right next to her pillow while she's sleeping and tongue flicks at her. Like,
so a grown man in costume,
yes,
on camera jumps on a bed with a little girl, an underage girl, and does a tongue flick thing. It's supposed to be funny somehow, but really that's disgusting.
Yeah. Welcome to the 80s and 90s as a kid.
I wonder how many takes they did of that. Like that's pretty wild. Yeah, the 80s were a different time.
So we decided to shut that movie off after that. And I went, you know what? How about instead a nice wholesome film? Let's put on Little Rascals. Who could go wrong there? Pretty much off the rip. Alfalfa slicks his hair back. Again, maybe like an 8-year-old boy, something like that. And he kisses this like 8-year-old girl. And,
Yeah, we've all seen it.
Right. So we get what the joke is referencing. It's not his hair, right? Okay. And aside from a little bit of goofy stuff here and there, like, and I'm not like mother henning it, like knitting circle. Did you see what they're doing? Like, I'm just saying, wow. So then the concept of like, how many times do those kids need to kiss in this film? We watched half of it. It was her bedtime, so we sent her off to bed. However, in that half, I think those kids kissed like 7 or 8 times. But I'm wondering what writer or what director was like, you know what we need to do in this scene? We need to have those little kids kiss again. Because it's overbearing. Like it's too much.
I think also if you zoom out, like literally zoom out on that shot, how many adults are watching little kids kiss each other over and over and over again?
Right.
It's weird, okay? And how many times did they do any one of those takes? Yeah, it's supposed to be an innocent thing. It's actually not. That's not innocent. It's inappropriate. And for a bunch of grown adults to stand around and watch that repeatedly, it's gross.
Yeah, so there are kids getting paid to kiss on film while I would assume tens of people, of grown adults, are standing by. And I believe even back then they still had people on set and on scene that were supposed to be advocates for the children and make sure the children weren't being put in precarious situations. And, you know, I was chatting with AI about this, like,
Boomer.
You know, it was like, oh, but Hollywood's done so much to fix that since then. And I'm like, you sound like a Hollywood apologist. And it's like, oh, I don't mean to, you know, don't worry, I'll give it to you straight moving forward. And I'm like, all right, give me specific examples. And it starts going after racial issues that were in cartoons and being very specific about it. I'm like, okay.
Of which there are very many.
Right. And we can discuss that.
Yeah.
However, I was like, all right, but that's not what I was talking about. Let's go back to this specific topic. And it was like, well, you know, there's the alleged part where in The Lion King it says SFX. And I'm like, it did not have an F, dude. That was absolutely an E. Pull up the pictures. And it's like, yeah, I can see where you would say that. And then there was the alleged phallic symbol in The Little Mermaid. And I'm like,
you're arguing with AI about things that are known quantities. That's amazing.
Because I'm attempting to formulate my large language model to respond to me how I want it to respond.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think it's funny that the AI was going to bat for an entire industry for no reason. Like, there's no benefit to the AI to argue with you about it.
And that's why I was calling it a Hollywood apologist.
Yeah,
and was like, no, you're not doing that on my watch, bud. And you know, it kept doing it, the alleged phallic symbol on the cover of The Little Mermaid. And I'm like, who
it's clear as day.
Right.
Folks at home, it's easy to find and it's very obvious. There is no mistaking what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, they mentioned a bunch of things allegedly that we allegedly said on the show. But I mean, there's so much of it out there, and to like attempt to kind of walk it back and like, you know, but it's alleged. And, you know, I was like, all right, let's dig into the Dan Schneider stuff. And it's like, well, there were some accusations made of inappropriate behavior and a conspiracy about his fetish with feet. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, well, what charges did he face? Dan Schneider has never faced any criminal charges, but it's important to know that these were all just alleged accusations and they haven't been proven in any way. Okay. All right. Are you tired of big corporations farming you for views? So are we. We're just two poor guys that are trying to put together a podcast. So if you can give us some help by doing a like, share, comment, subscribe, or save, it helps us trend in the algorithms. Thanks.